So in particular, one thing people focus on a lot is having a fixed and a linear component. That you pay some price to buy anything at all, and then you have some price which is proportional to how much that you buy. That's a very natural thing. Okay, so I'm going to use that to study the ways in which one's ability to price discriminate sort of gets restricted by the fact that people might stop buying goods at all, right? Here we ignored the fact everyone was just thinking about buying one less, but there's also the possibility that people could just say, look, I'm not getting enough utility from buying anything from your store. I'm just not going to come to your store at all. I'll go to a different store, or I just won't buy anything, right? Okay. This assumption that nobody would just stop buying from you entirely made discrimination very attractive, because it meant that all those inframarginal people were really vulnerable to being exploited, right? They're going to be much less vulnerable to being exploited, a la Spence, if people can exit. And in fact, some people have discussed the opposite extreme case. So there's a paper by Walter Oy in 1971 who discusses the case in which the marginal consumers are identical to the inframarginal consumers. In other words, it's not that the people who are exiting are buying zero. The people who are exiting might be buying exactly as much as the people who aren't exiting. It's just that they have a lower overall willingness to pay for participating in the service. And if in that case, you don't want to do any discrimination. In fact, what you want to do is you want to charge an upfront fee to get access to the service, and then everything that you get from the service should be given out for free or at marginal cost. So an example of that is sort of like rides at Disneyland, right? There's like very little marginal cost to them having one more person doing that, and different people who come to Disneyland are looking for roughly similar experiences. So like discriminating based on the particular rides that you go on is probably not very effective. So instead what you do is you just charge some overall price, and then you offer everything for free or at marginal cost for people to go on the rides. Yeah, go ahead.
So when you say marginal and inframarginal are identical,
yeah.
So in what way are they different? Because they have to be different in some way.
They differ in terms of like the total amount that they're willing to pay for the experience, but they don't differ in terms of their marginal willingness to pay for a given extra ride at the place. That's sort of the idea.
So it's almost as if they all have a unit demand, and they can only buy one unit.
Yeah, it's like they're all going to do things that are similar at the place, or the value that they get from the different things sort of all washes out, right? That's the idea. Another example of this would be like Rhapsody, where you pay like one price to get access to all the music on their system. In this case, you have what's called an efficient two-part tariff. And the example Eric was giving of bundling is a little bit like this as well. There might be some people who value Excel more, some people who value Word more, and we might not, if we tried to charge for each of those individually, we might have to charge like a pretty high price to try to extract some of that value, and that might lead some people not to buy it. But if you package the things two together, it might be, and I don't know about this, but it might be that actually the willingness to pay is much more predictable of people for the total package than it is for the individual components. And in that case, you can get less distortion by just charging people their willingness to pay for the total package, and then basically the marginal cost of the components is zero inside. And that's often given as a reason for bundling. Now, in reality, things are in between these two extremes. The inframarginal people and the marginal people aren't exactly the same. They're definitely different, but they're also not, like, it's not true that the marginal people have like literally zero that they're buying, right? And the inframarginal people are just totally exploitable, therefore. And I go through a model of this, but I don't really have time to do that. You can look at the Weyl paper as we talk about it there, and I'll let you guys go vote. So, thanks.